She doesn't even have a working washing machine. She irons their clothes at midnight like she's their servant. And she wants people to respect her.
That is Grace speaking. She is lying across a bed in Victoria Island, talking to her sister on the phone. She is laughing. A soft, comfortable laugh. The kind that belongs to someone who is very sure they have won something.
She drives that old Corolla to drop off the children every morning. Every single morning, no driver, no nothing. And those perfectly ironed uniforms. I almost feel sorry for her. She does not feel sorry. Her voice makes that very clear.
What Grace does not know, what no one in that house knows, is that the school those children attend every morning, the school where Grace herself teaches 5 days a week, belongs to Adeze. It has belonged to her for 3 years. This is her story. Her alarm was set for 5 in the morning, but most days Adeze was already awake before it rang. She would lie still for a moment in the dark and listen. The house was quiet. Her children were sleeping. The ceiling fan turned slowly above her head. And then she would get up, because that was what she did. She got up. Her name is Adeze Okafon. She is 41 years old. She has 2 children. Kemi, who is 13 and very serious about her schoolwork, in the way her mother always was, and Tobe, who is 9, and still believes that every Saturday morning cartoon is made just for him. She packs Tobe's bag the night before because he always forgets his mathematics notebook. She grades Kemi's hair every Sunday so it stays through the whole week. She irons their school uniforms every night before bed. 1 press for the collar, 2 for the sleeves, 3 slow and careful passes down the body of the shirt. Never one crease, never one fold out of place. People saw this and called her a good mother. What they did not see was everything else. Adeze had been saving money since she was 26 years old. Not large amounts, not at first. 50,000 naira here, 80,000 there. She kept it in a brown envelope at the back of her wardrobe, behind the winter clothes she bought once in London and never wore again. When the envelope got too thick, she opened a second account at a small bank where nobody she knew had ever been. She told no one. Not her sisters, not her mother, not her husband, Jide. Because she had learned something early in her marriage. What Jide did not know, Jide could not spend. For 9 years, Adeze worked as an administrator at a government secondary school. She learned how schools ran. She learned what parents wanted. She learned what made a school grow and what made it slowly fall apart. She kept a small notebook in her bag at all times. Half sentences, numbers, ideas she didn't have names for yet. At night, after her children were asleep, she would sit at the kitchen table with her notebook and a cup of tea that was always cold by the time she remembered to drink it. She would write down her plans, her numbers, the shape of something that was still coming together. She was not angry in those years. She was not afraid. She was simply building, the way you build anything that lasts, quietly and without rush. 3 years before Jide left, she found out about Bright Stars Academy. It was a small private school in their area, owned by an old man named Chief Adewale. He was tired and sick and ready to stop running things. He had no children who wanted the school. He had no good buyers. His secretary had mentioned once that there was a woman, a school administrator, who came to collect her children sometimes and always stopped to read the notice board, who greeted all the teachers by their names, who had once told the gateman very quietly that the school fence needed painting on the eastern side before the rains came. Chief Adewale was a man who noticed things. He asked to meet her. They sat in his office for 2 hours. She asked questions he had not expected. He answered every single one. By the time she left, she had made him a promise. She went home, looked at her second account, and began to plan. She didn't have everything, but she had enough to start. Jide left on a Thursday in April.
He did not shout. He did not cry. He put 3 suitcases into his car and told her he was not happy and had not been happy for a long time and that he was sorry, but this was how things were now. He drove away without looking back. Adeze stood at the front door and watched him go. She did not run after him. She did not call his phone. She went inside, filled a pot with water for Tobei's bath, and stood at the kitchen window looking out at the quiet street for a long moment. The children were at school. They would not know until she told them. She told them that evening, gently, with the lights on and the television off. Kimi cried the way she always cried, quietly, without much sound. Tobei asked if his father was coming back for Saturday cartoons. Adiise held them both and said what she knew to be true, that some things change but love does not, and that they would be all right. They were. But then came Grace. Grace had joined the teaching staff at Bright Stars Academy just a few months after Jide left. She was 29 years old. She wore her skirts a little short and her perfume a little strong, and she laughed loudly in the school staff room. She had met Jide at a parents' event. That was the story. Within 6 months, she was living in the house he now rented in Victoria Island. She started appearing at the school gate. She stood close to Jide on his visiting days. She smiled at Adiise in the way people smile when they want you to know they have won something. She said good afternoon in a tone that was not really a greeting. The teachers noticed. The other parents noticed. The whispers were not very quiet. One afternoon, a teacher named Mrs. Funke pulled Adiise aside near the office. She spoke in a low voice. She said that some of the staff were not comfortable, that Grace had been talking, that she had shown people a video of Adaise's car, the old Corolla with the loose door handle, and people had laughed. Adiise listened. She thanked Mrs. Funke. She collected her children. She drove them home in the Corolla with the loose door handle. That night, she ironed 2 uniforms, checked Tobei's bag, placed Kimi's project notes in a folder, and sat down at her kitchen table. She opened her notebook. She wrote 3 words: stay on course. Nobody claps for a person who is quietly putting things together. Nobody sends a congratulations message for the work that happens in the dark. There is no moment where the world stops and notices. The building just happens. Mostly alone, mostly at night, mostly in rooms where no one else is watching. By the time Jide left, Adiise already owned 30% of Bright Stars Academy. Chief Adewale had agreed to hold the rest of the shares until she was ready. He was patient with her because he had seen what she brought to the school in the 2 years since their agreement. He had repainted the fence on the eastern side. He had hired 2 strong new teachers and let 1 weak one go, kindly but firmly. He had added a proper library with real shelves and books that smelled like new paper. School enrollment went up by 40 children in a single year. She did not put her name on anything. She was still, to almost everyone who saw her, just one of the school mothers, the one with the old Corolla and the neat uniforms. She continued her consulting work in the evenings, helping 2 other small schools manage their systems. She ran a small catering arrangement for a company nearby. She was careful with every naira. She was slow. She was steady. In the 2nd year after Jide left, Chief Adewale's health grew worse. He called her to his office one Tuesday morning, the same office where they had first met years before. He looked smaller now. His hands shook a little when he picked up his cup. He told her he was ready to rest. He told her the school was hers. He signed the papers on a Wednesday afternoon. She drove home in the Corolla. She made jollof rice for dinner because it was Tobei's favorite. She ironed 2 uniforms before she went to bed. She told no one. Change came slowly, the way morning always does, not all at once, but one small degree of light at a time. The parents began to notice things: a new computer room, fresh paint in the classrooms, a reading program that Kimi joined and came home excited about, a new school bus with air conditioning that actually worked. Small things, good things, the kind of things that make people say, somebody is taking care of this place. The teachers felt it too. Their pay came on time every month. When they brought problems forward, they were listened to. When one teacher needed time away because her mother fell ill, she was given it, without a fight and without losing her money. Small things, but the kind that stay in people's hearts. Mrs. Funke was the first to notice something else. She noticed that the name on the new school ownership papers, the name on the letters from the board, the name signed at the bottom of the staff notices was not Chief Adewale's name anymore. It was a name she knew very well. She said nothing to anyone. But the next time she saw Adiaze at the school gate, she looked at her for a long moment before she looked away. The first board meeting under new ownership was on a Friday morning in October. Grace did not know there was a board meeting. She had come in early that day because she had a test to give her class at 8 o'clock. She stopped by the administration office to print the papers. The secretary told her the printer was being used. There was a meeting in the main office. She would have to wait. Grace sat in the corridor. She could hear voices behind the closed door. She could not make out the words. After a few minutes, the head teacher came out and saw her there. "Ma'am, the meeting is almost finished. Please come in and collect your papers when they're ready." Grace stepped into the doorway. There were 6 people sitting at the table. She knew the deputy principal and the school accountant. The other 3 she did not recognize. At the head of the table, in the chair that had always been Chief Adewale's chair, sat a woman in a gray dress and small gold earrings. She was sitting very still, her hands folded in front of her on the table. It was Adiaze. Adiaze looked up. Their eyes met. For a moment, the whole room was still. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Then Adiaze said, in a calm and even voice, "Good morning, Grace. We will be finished in about 10 minutes. The test papers will be ready at the front desk." That was all. No raised voice, no long speech, no look of triumph. Just those 2 sentences said the way you say something ordinary to someone on an ordinary day. Grace said nothing. She stepped back from the doorway and pulled the door closed behind her. She stood alone in the corridor for a very long time. There's a photograph on the wall of Adiaze's office, not a certificate or award, just a photograph. Her and Kemi and Tobe, taken on the day of the first school open day after she became the owner. They are standing in front of the school gate. Tobe is making a face at the camera. Kemi has her hand on her mother's arm. Adiaze is smiling in the way people smile when something they worked for over many years has finally become real. That evening, as she always did, she ironed their uniforms. 1 press for the collar, 2 for the sleeves, 3 slow and careful passes down the body of the shirt. Same hands, same iron, same kitchen table. But the school those uniforms go to every morning now belongs to her. She had not changed what she did. She had only changed what it meant. The lesson here is easy to walk past. It is not a lesson about beating someone or proving a point. It is about what happens when a quiet person does not stop, when they do not announce what they are building, when they do not need the world to look at them while they work, when they press the uniform, pack the bag, write the plan, and keep going night after night in rooms where no one else is watching. The loudest voice is not always the most powerful one. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one who drove to work in an old car that morning, who ironed 2 shirts the night before, who said good morning and went back to her meeting without raising her voice even once. Every quiet night at that kitchen table was part of something larger than anyone around her could see. Every sacrifice was a stone placed in a foundation that no one else knew was being built. And when the truth came out, she didn't need to say a single word, because the truth said everything for her. If this story stayed with you, if it reminded you of someone you know or someone you are, share it. Share it with the person who is building quietly right now in the dark without anyone watching. Tell them the payoff is real. Tell them to keep going. This is Payoff Stories, where every sacrifice finds its reward and every story has a payoff.